I had lost almost every friend I had ever made by the time I was 19 years old. My social circle had completely disappeared. It wasn't caused by some big fallout, it was mainly due to one person. And that person was me. I lost them to a pit of small decisions that eventually caught up to me. If you're around my age, or you've ever wondered why your friend group slowly disappeared, this isn't another video offering some kind of fix. I will just be sharing my experiences and thoughts on my past friendships, hoping it helps others. I'm just gonna tell you exactly what happened, what I did wrong, what I learned, and why I think it's interesting. My first mistake was that I lacked the hindsight into how others would view me. I assumed people weren't really paying attention to me most of the time I hung out in groups, but it turns out I actually read as a very closed off and distant type of person from afar. I'm the type to only really feel comfortable in small groups, so anytime the group of, let's say, 8 or more people would get together, I honestly would just shut down or interacted with 1 or 2 people at a time. This gave the illusion to everyone that I wasn't comfortable and that I hated them because of the duality of how I acted within smaller groups versus bigger groups. Relationships really require internal reflection and thinking about how others may view you based on what you're doing. And for me specifically, the amount of people really could dull who I seemingly was as a person. For instance, imagine a lighthouse. If there's minimal amounts of fog, its light can shine through with intensity and clarity. But the moment it gets really foggy or dull, it'll become hard to see. My biggest takeaway from this mistake is that sometimes being your natural self alone won't be enough for relationships. You will eventually encounter problems in life that require you to really reflect on yourself and change how you act in situations. Before I continue, I need to give you all some context. I'm a pretty existential person. Most nights before I go to bed, there's a tiny fear in the back of my mind that I could just die in my sleep. It's irrational, but it's there, and it really sets the tone for the rest of my character. I genuinely had a messed up childhood, and this type of thinking was a form of escapism for me. I would stare at the wall for hours, rotting away into my thoughts about the universe, infinity, and life. My mom was also a very negative person. She'd always put others down and make light of the negativity and things that should be fun, and by nature, supplying me a lack of childhood experiences and social connections, which attached a lot of bad traits onto myself, which doesn't excuse my actions, but it does explain where it might have come from, which leads to my next mistake, which was probably my biggest. My second mistake was that I was too negative. A big thing with friendships is that you should be an uplifting force socially, and not tearing others down in everything you see. I often found myself putting others down for their choices and likes. More often it was behind a screen, but it was in person sometimes as well. Even if it was ingrained into me through parental figures, you need to take accountability for yourself in life and realize you have the power to change and make your own choices. Don't be weighed down by things that you think are irreversible. If you find yourself being a turnoff in some way socially, it's eventually going to catch up to you. These sorts of things eventually build resentment in the dynamic, whether it be one-on-one or in a group. Negativity is like a repellent. You can conquer it. Your bad traits aren't a life sentence. The choice is ultimately in your camp. My next mistake is that I went with the flow. One of the major problems with my social circle at the time was that it had way too many people I didn't know that well. You see, this group had started out as a friend group of, let's say, about 5 people I knew fairly well, and it slowly changed. You see, my best friend at the time, he had a girlfriend, and she really wanted to be part of this friend group because she was lonely at the time, and he invited her to come to a few hangouts. Eventually she became a staple of them, but slowly over time she invited a lot of her own friends, and it became kind of like a second version of her old friend group, and by proxy I just didn't know people that well anymore. There were a lot of new faces. So since it had started out comfortable for me with people I had known and changed with so many new people I had never heard of, it's honestly on me that I decided to stick around, even when lacking the excitement to hang out with these people. You have to have the passion and energy behind you in friend groups and engage with the majority of the people, or else it just seems like you're there doing nothing but drifting. My fourth mistake is that I acted too late. By the time I had actually recognized the bad within me and started to act on it, it ended up being way too late. My best friend since middle school had made a secret group excluding only me, and I didn't see it coming at all. Through later talks long after all this happened, it appeared his girlfriend was a big advocate for pushing me out, which makes a lot of sense. It had primarily became a lot of people that she wanted to be around, and I simply didn't handle this shift well, or mesh well with the group anymore. Me and her had arguments in the past. Some that she left for a while because of. She herself dealt with struggles internally according to her boyfriend. She had used language like not really caring about the friends around her and actively disliking some of them, which shows within social circles there are often many undercover problems that contribute to this problem within friend groups of them breaking up, and not even just groups, even one-on-one, and to a cultural scale. And honestly, if I had just acted sooner, like as soon as arguments had sprung up, it might have been all fine. But people won't wait there patiently for you to change. They will cut you out and move on if they feel it will be better for them. Now, if you're going through this, through my own experiences, I would recommend you to just take a second and really just ask yourself, who am I? And what sort of vibe or contribution am I giving to these other people? Just the act of thinking is very powerful and beneficial, especially socially. People can really lose the power to think when they've been in a certain rhythm for long enough, and it can make them mold into something different if it's left unchecked. Just remember to consciously think more often about what you're doing. Don't let yourself get that comfortable. Now, I'd like to wrap this video up with just sharing some of my final thoughts. I'm not making this video because I've figured everything out. I really don't. I'm 19. I'm still building what it means to be me. The consequences of my actions were needed to drive my own personal growth. If you're in the same position, you're not the only one. And I guarantee it. And maybe this is just the beginning for you and who you are. Thank you.